Okay, I'm Lachlan Barrett. I go to school here in Telluride at our high school, and I did my internship at Energy and Geoscience Institute at University of Utah. Okay. So what our lab does is carbon capture and storage, which is basically the capture of carbon from power plants, and then you take it and use super high pressure tubes to shoot it down deep below the surface of the earth into aquifers, which usually have a strong caprock above them, which eventually traps the carbon and leaves it down there. Um, the Uinta Basin was where we were doing most of or it's where our work was supposed to be done. Um, it's located just out of Vernal, Utah, and the goal was to capture carbon out of the Bonanza power plant and then inject it somewhere close by. Um, a lot of my lab was microscope use. We looked at slide samples of different sandstones, and here you can see um, oh, that's feldspar right there, and then the little black pieces are quartz, and the little like kind of greenish parts are lithic fragments, and all the little blue is just open space, which is really important because the more permeable sandstone was what we were looking for, as you can inject more carbon into it. Here's some of the equations I used. This is the permeameter calibration equation that we use to convert values given by the permeameter to actual permeability constants. And that's the Darcy's law equation, which is basically an experiment where you take a bunch of ground up sandstone and run a bunch of water through it. And based off of how far the water goes, you can kind of determine the permeability of that sandstone. During this internship, I was able to go to Vernal and actually visit the basin where we were planning on injecting carbon. We had a bunch of seismometers that were there for about a month, gathering seismic activity in the area to determine whether it was a feasible place to inject carbon into. That's me digging up a seismometer there, and then that's my lab mate Omar. Day 2 of that trip, I was able to go visit Dinosaur National Monument. It was really cool. And I did a lot of permeameter work. We got the coordinates and permeability values, and we were then able to cross-reference that with a geological map of Utah and look at the types of sandstone with the actual permeability with that. I lived in an apartment just outside the University of Utah. It was about a 20-minute walk to my lab, and I had one bathroom and one bedroom. It was pretty nice. I got to take a few trips to Telluride, or two. I took the Amtrak California Zephyr, which goes from San Francisco all the way to Chicago, but it dropped me off in Junction, and I then took the Mustang to Telluride. During my free time, I spent a lot of time at the gym. I did some hiking. There's a picture of a sunset just right after a hike, right above the University of Utah campus. I did a lot of exploring Salt Lake City. That's Temple Square, which I thought was pretty cool. And I spent a lot of time at this cafe doing work. It was about a block away from my apartment. Advice for interns, I'd say definitely budget well. I was eating a lot of filet mignon and Chipotle, and that kind of had a big impact on my wallet. Make sure you work on college apps. That kind of stacks up your senior year, and you don't really want that. Volunteer a ton for Pinhead, and try to volunteer as much as, do as much work as possible around your lab.
Yes.
And then read others' blogs, just because a lot of the labs take
interns like over the years. So it's really important to kind of get some direction for what you want to do. Thank you to all these people, yeah.